test, or was it?
Yeah, I have to mix it up. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Night at the Creative Coast Labs on Bull Street in sultry Savannah, Georgia. It's August, and we have a loyal group of Creative Coast enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs in the audience with us. My name is Miriam Sharp. I wear a few hats. I'm vice president of the board of the Creative Coast. I have my own consultancy called Strategy RX, where I help medtech innovators take their products to market. And I'm also the card-carrying chief marketing officer for Micro-C Imaging, which was an innovative X-ray company founded here in Savannah, Georgia. Tonight, we have Bob Shinn with us, and he is the interviewee, and I get to be his interviewer. Bob, would you like to introduce yourself and just jump right in and tell us a little bit about your company, and then I have a few more questions to ask.
Sure. I'm Bob Shinn. I founded Candor USA. We are a software as a service company. We're focused on providing the ability of about 40 million Americans who have been priced out or don't have access to health insurance today get that access. We do it by enabling consumers, brokers, carriers, and individuals to come together and find the appropriate groups or associations to join so that they can get group health insurance at reasonable rates and have better total cost of care.
So what prompted you to come up with this idea that certainly seems like there's a market for it, but what was the aha moment?
I would say it was a And I looked at a lot of different things that are in my life, and I've been in a lot of financial services companies throughout my life in technology. And I said, why are these different attributes in financial services but not in health insurance? And I started talking to people, and they said, yeah, those things will happen in health insurance. It will probably happen in 12 to 15 years. So I said, well, let's do it now. There's no reason not to do it now. And so what I really focused on doing, and some people, they're complimentary of what we did, and they say what we did was brilliant or really intelligent, and it's really not. What we are is very clever. What we did was we took a lot of ideas that were in other areas, and we applied them and constructed them in a unique way, which I think provides very good value in 4 different major groups, entities that we service.
And share with us maybe 2 or 3 of those components that you say were out there in other industries or already applied elsewhere that you've brought into Candor.
Yeah, some of them are very close. So if you think about a pension versus a 401k. When I was a kid or younger, I thought, pension's much better than a 401k. But then I watched as good friends of mine and their parents who worked at Polaroid for over 30 years went to retire, and the company went bankrupt and their pension was gone. I watched as people no longer stayed at companies for 20, 30 years, and they moved from company to company, and they never aggregated enough money really for a proper retirement. So a 401k, you're contributing to, but it's modular. You can pick some of the money to be a high risk, some of it to be low risk. When you move from company to company, it's portable. You can take it with you. It's durable. It'll last from the time you start putting money into it to the time you retire. So I said, why aren't those attributes in health insurance? And we started constructing a way that people could get health insurance decoupled from their company. We still support companies, of course. But in doing so, we started to realize that the majority of people work for small businesses in America. And small businesses are in groups that are smaller than what a carrier wants to go out and service. They're smaller than what a broker wants to sell to because they don't make enough money on a single deal. And so the majority of people are in that situation, and yet their insurance is tied to their employer in no other way. So how can we decouple that? How can we start to make it modular? How can we make it portable? It's incredible. I can go from one company to another and bring my phone number, but I can't bring my health insurance. I can go on my phone and pick what apps will be on my phone, but I can't pick the attributes of my health insurance. Right? The price keeps going up, and part of the reason why the price keeps going up is since 2005, over 90% of the jobs created are non-corporate jobs, which means the majority of young people and healthy people are not coming into the insurance pool. That's like having a car insurance pool where everybody crashes, and all the people that don't crash don't participate.
Yeah.
It makes it more expensive for everyone. There needs to be a value for everyone to have healthcare coverage. It can't just be a value for some of the people who use it and a tax on everybody else. It needs to be a value for everyone. There needs to be an interface and support that is valuable to millennials so that they want to be part of it and that it's easy for them to access. So we're really about enabling that marketplace to come together, and we believe with some of the efficiencies and the different things we can do, we lower the cost of a sale for a broker, and we increase their profitability. We lower the cost for administration from a carrier, but we provide them reliable, stable risk pools. We also enable wellness programs to small businesses. So functions and things that corporations had that they applied to their people to lower their cost, we are now enabling for bunches of small businesses to have. So the carrier costs are coming down. The broker costs are coming down. We're enabling individuals to find groups that offer group health insurance that you can join. So now individuals' prices are dropping 8 to 12% from what they were paying. So individual prices are coming down. And groups are getting a higher retention and a higher enrollment because now, instead of getting my insurance through my employer, which I may do, but if I'm an entrepreneur and I join an entrepreneur association, then no matter where I go to work, I can bring my health insurance with me. And what I can do is we can get away from defined benefit and get to defined contribution, much like a pension versus a 401k. A 401k is defined contribution,
Right.
not defined benefit. A pension is defined benefit. And if we can get companies decoupled, a construct that was done post-World War II to be appealing to men coming back from war, and create a construct that actually enables every person in the US to join, and every person from every age to join, then we can lower that cost for everyone.
So can you give us a couple of examples of your customers, your clients? It could be, Susie doesn't have any insurance, she's X years old, and she shows up at your digital doorstep.
Sure.
What happens next to next?
So an important thing to recognize is we're the software as a service. We're not the insurance broker. So insurance brokers use our software to enable them to scale their business, enable them to deliver automated brokerage to individuals so that they can do that in a cost-effective way. So then now individuals can get more access because brokers were just stopping servicing. The ACA, in a lot of ways, and different people will have different political views, but the ACA, in a lot of ways, caused a massive amount of years of learning in a very short period of time. But some of that learning was that the construct of the ACA itself, despite anybody's political views, was not going to be able to last the way it was constructed. It wasn't funded enough for the way that it was constructed because you weren't getting enough of people who were healthy and people who were unhealthy coming into it. You were just getting all the people that were unhealthy and had pre-existing conditions coming into it, which is not going to work in insurance. Most people think insurance companies make tons of money, and really what they do is they make a percentage of the money that they administer for everyone. So it's a very different thing. And that percentage, they're always trying to get the government to up so they can make more money,
Right.
but that percentage is fixed. So what we want to do is make it more cost-effective with that piece, which lowers it. And so I'm going to give you an example.
So your customer is not Susie, it is
the brokerage company, because there's 1.2 million of them out there. And if we can enable them to service everyone, then we can service 40 million people. If we try to service 40 million people, we're not going to be able to do that. It's too big of a chunk for us to bite off, right? But can we service the brokers and enable them to service all the people? It's good. And some people won't remember this. Some people will remember it. It's a little bit older. There used to be this Prel commercial, hair commercial, right? And they would say, well, and then she told two people, and so on. So it went from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, right? And you had that increase of people knowing about it. So by us servicing all the brokers can service 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 people, so we can reach more people cost effectively. I'll give you an example of one of our clients.
Okay.
And that client became an investor in our company. So John started out, and John was paying about $15,500 per year for his health insurance. He had some pre-existing conditions and some things that cost to be a little higher. And he had a $7,500 deductible, total out-of-pocket concept. So he had a $23,000 a year bill if he maxed out his health insurance, or if he didn't use it at all, he had to pay $15,500. He had a gold plan, as according to the ACA, and it was the highest end plan in his geographic region that he could buy. So he thinks that is the best thing. I'm going to spend the most money, highest rated plan, that's the best thing. In our algorithm, what we did was we looked at what he would do. And we said, you know what, we're going to move you to the bronze plan, and we're going to add an indemnity insurance, what we call Prosper Benefits. And you're going to pay $5,500 per year, but you're going to have a $20,000 out of pocket. So now if he doesn't use his insurance at all, instead of paying $15,500, he's going to pay $5,500. That's if he doesn't use it at all, he saves $10,000. If he maxes it out, he's going to pay $20,500 instead of $23,000.
So you determined that, you gave that information to his broker?
No, his broker never got involved.
Okay.
The broker does the job of the sales to the company to say, hey, use my micro exchange.
Okay.
Labeled my company, but we power it. We run it. We do the matching. We do all that piece for him.
Okay, so thinking about the talent on your team, and sure, the question behind this, so you're here in Savannah,
yes,
and you must have found the talent.
Smartest move I made.
What does your team look like? Who are they? What are they doing? And sidebar, I guess you found them in Savannah. They're not all remote, are they?
We have one person remote and one person joining remote out of 25 people. Some of the people relocated here, me included.
From?
North of Atlanta,
right.
Rome, Georgia. We stayed in Georgia because, and don't tell anyone, there are unique laws in Georgia that allow you to sell health insurance across state lines. They do not exist in any other of the states, entire United States, or the territories, or the District of Columbia. So
you can sell across state lines, but I think Georgians cannot buy outside of Georgia.
Oh, no? We can have a long conversation about that one day. Yes, with the right criteria, yes, they can.
Okay.
So when looking to go somewhere, we said, okay, Georgia is a unique state. We want to stay in Georgia. And then we started saying, do we want to stay rural? We loved Rome, Georgia. We really did. The support we had from the community there was fantastic. But when we first started out, we thought we were going to sell to all the individuals. And we were thinking more contact center, social media, get everybody to sign up. When we transitioned to the concept of selling to the brokers and being a software as a service, rather than being the broker piece, because Zenefits, Gusto, others are launching pieces to undermine and cut out the broker, where we're an enabler and a reconstruct of the same people. So I like to say we're the rising tide that lifts all the boats. So we started looking around. We said, okay, we're going to Georgia. We're staying in Georgia. That's it. We're going to go to Atlanta. There's plenty of people. There's skill set and everything. We're going to stay up northwest of Atlanta and try to draw some from Atlanta, but have that mountain and rivers and things. I'm more of a rural guy than a city guy. I'll go in the city for needs, of course, but I prefer a little bit more of the ability to get in and out. And we went looking around. And actually, we got information from different places, and Creative Coast, and CETA and a couple others provide us information in this area. We got a lot from inside of Atlanta. We got a tremendous amount of data from, I don't know if I should say the name, but from a large power company that operates in the Georgia area. They provided us access to a lot of data to look at skill sets, people, things like that. And what we decided was that SCAD and Georgia Southern and a couple other colleges in this area would provide us the resources we needed to grow in the way that we wanted to grow, to really be a software as a service company with a lot of design aspects, but also enabled us to be cost effective. My rent is equal to what I would have paid in 2 months in Atlanta. Right? So we're a team of 25. If we wanted to pay the same amount of money in Atlanta, we wouldn't have the same quality of resources. People wouldn't be able to live as well in Atlanta. Right now, if you try to live in the major cities, Atlanta, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago, New York, right, you can't live in those areas. The average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is $4,695 per month.
Right. It's right up there with New York.
Right.
I think there's some months when it's higher than New York. Yeah.
That is not a reasonable, livable piece. They have housing scarcity. They have massive traffic. Their ocean you can't swim in, it's too cold. Right? We have some of the greatest music, some fantastic restaurants. I live in a little bit more of a rural area. I can be over the bridge in downtown Savannah in less than a half hour. In a distance, if I was trying to go over the bridge in San Francisco and do it, it would be hours of commute each way.
Yeah, you know what the definition of a traffic jam in Savannah is? Getting caught behind a horse and buggy.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
It is.
It is pretty nice, yeah. Our traffic 10 minutes is tough.
Right.
Yeah, instead of the rush hour.
But we get pretty cranky, though, if we have to wait more than 2 lights to get through an intersection.
It's all relative. It's all relative. So we have access to great human resources. We have a lower cost of living so that the people that we can pay above average wage. We pay significantly above the average wage in Savannah as a company. That's part of our policy. And we believe that the people that work from us can live better than they could anywhere else in the country.
Right. So that was a smart move. I think all of us know that, unless you're, one of the early employees of Bill Gates or somebody, you've probably had to raise some money. In other words, you didn't bootstrap this thing. So it's always the question of investors. Investors, if you're in the state of Georgia, and investors, if you're in Savannah. How have you, got to use the word, overcome what sometimes is a disadvantage of our geography?
So our geography for raising funds is a disadvantage at this point. We do not have a construct yet to enable, I think, a lot of startup companies. I have seen some things in the news that are saying that is about to change.
The new seed fund has been announced. We're yet to see exactly how that's going to evolve, but you're in the here and now. So what have you been doing to raise capital?
So one of the things is that there's a number of people who invested in me in a different startup that I founded, and they made significant money off that. So as one of them said, he's giving me the interest he made off the money that I made him.
Okay,
that's been our largest pool of investors, is people who made money off of businesses that I've been involved in the past.
Right.
They are not local to Savannah, I don't think. We do not have a local to Savannah investor at this point. Okay. That part is a little disappointing. That's the only thing I can say that is disappointing in our move to Savannah.
Now,
we've had a lot of support from a lot of organizations. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when you were closer to Atlanta, I mean, Atlanta has had quite a bit of success in healthcare. It's called healthcare IT. That's not what you are per se, but was that helpful, being closer to Atlanta?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one, the local area around Rome, a lot of people, although they didn't have as much wealth, and there wasn't as many people, obviously, as there in Savannah, there was a lot of local people who really wanted to try to help bring business to that area. That we had a lot of small investors step up. Very much appreciated. There's a couple things in that area. There's leadership of a school called the Darlington School. Brent Bell is there, and he runs the school. And some of the support they did, their campus and helping us do different things and everything, really we wouldn't have survived without them when we first started out. So there's some of that grassroots in there. There's some of the people who invested in me in the past. And we were pursued to go elsewhere. We have been told as literally less than 12 hours ago that if we were willing to pick up shop and move to San Francisco, we would have a massive investment of over $25 million.
Oh.
And we're deciding to take a very high risk and not take on that opportunity.
Well, that's big,
and stay.
Good news for Savannah.
If we're successful, yes.
Yes.
But
yes.
People need to adjust their perception on seed and startup companies. What the expectation should be is if one is successful, it needs to provide the return of 10 to 100 times what you invest in each startup. I had a really good conversation with the head of the University of Georgia, and he talked about the fact that theirs kind of went away. They had a seed fund and startup because everybody was measuring success on a company by company basis, and therefore none of the companies ever panned out to be significant players because none of them could swing big enough.
Right. Whereas on the West Coast, it's what, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 is it?
1 out of 100.
Or they're rolling the dice. One of them is going to make it.
1 out of 100 will make it to over 1,000 times return, so you'll still make 10 times your money on an overall basis.
Yeah.
10 times your money is pretty good interest. I had $1, now I have 10.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
So you got to think about it a little bit more like baseball than like golf. Right? Baseball, someone who fails 6 out of 10 times is called a Hall of Famer. Right? That's what we need to look at, and it's hard to do. It's hard to transition that way, especially with the type of investments that have existed in Savannah, which are more tourism, real estate based, and those types of things. We're kind of slow and steady wins the race. You invest in one thing, you take care of it and bring it along. But I think that Savannah, to me, is a lot like Austin 20 years ago. If anybody was able to go to Austin 20 years ago and see how there was a music scene, there was a waterfront area expanding, there was a college that was producing a skill set needed for the time, and it just totally blossomed. I think Savannah is like that. I think the ground is fertile for growth. I think that we get good amounts of rain for growth, right?
Right, yeah.
We've got the right water. We've got all the components that could do it. And I think people are seeing that, and I feel like it's moving towards that direction.
Well, and also, I was surprised, not in a negative way, that you have 25 people, because a lot of...
Me too. I found that out today.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. You were doing your homework before
I thought
you
it
came
was
here
18,
tonight.
and I was like, wait, that's 25, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need large teams. I mean, I can remember, lessons to be learned as Craigslist. They grew to umpty billion, and they're still around. I mean, just like 20 people. And also they had like a really ugly website too. So that's going against the grain for a lot. So what are some of the things that you're doing that are going against the grain that are working for you? I mean, one of them was to come to Savannah, I guess.
Yeah, I think that one of the things is everybody's like, hey, I want to be a market disruptor, a market disruptor, a market disruptor. No, we are market cohesion. We actually bring cohesiveness to a market that was disrupted and already in anarchy states. So that's a big one for us of going against the grain. The trend is to try to disrupt, where we're actually trying to have cohesion. Well,
and also your relationships within the market are very important. You're not out there on your own. You got the brokers, you got the payers, you got, tell us about these relationships that you have.
So, we just signed an agreement with United Healthcare to get for the commercial rates, we will be the national lowest rate possible for United Healthcare in the country.
Great.
So that means if you're like a really large corporation like Coca-Cola or something like that, you have 100,000 employees, you can get a better rate than I can offer. I'm not trying to service you. Go a different direction.
Right.
I can't be as good as the service you can get elsewhere. But if you're less than 50 people and you want United Healthcare, we're cheaper than anybody else in the country. Now, we don't sell you insurance. What we do is enable brokers now, and that's part of our agreement with United Healthcare is it's not for us to resell. It's for us to enable all those brokers out there to be able to service people.
Right. So you're using an existing distribution system, basically.
And we're using existing pieces and helping them come together in a better way.
Yeah.
For sure. So that, as you put it, that relationship is very important. Apex, National General are going through the same thing. We signed national agreements with Aflac and MetLife recently in the last couple of months, so that if the pilots go well, every MetLife agent in the country will be able to use our software for all of their clients. Every Aflac agent in the country will be able to use our software for their agents. Aflac can reach more people in a week than I could in 10 years, even if I was spending $100 million.
So the question I always like to ask entrepreneurs, whether it's certainly when they're a concept, prototype, or early stage, who is your customer, as in who is paying you money to do something in your
brokers are number
scenario?
one, carriers are number two, and then the individual consumers pay a little bit for what we provide them.
Is that kind of bundled into what they're paying?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so what we do is we enable people to have a little bit more, and again, forget your political associations for a second. The ACA provided me with a tremendous amount of information. One of the things it provided me was, if I go and I have a problem with what's going to be covered for my surgery, say I need a hip replacement, and my carrier says they're not covering it. If I bought through the ACA, good luck. You're going to try to take on a carrier, you're one person, you lost. If you bought the same plan through us at 8 to 12% lower than what you paid on the ACA, we have healthcare advocacy. We'll go and we'll talk to the carrier. We'll figure out how to code it correctly or do what's necessary in order for it to get covered for you. If you have a billing problem,
Interesting.
right? Georgia right now has a bill that's saying that there needs to be transparency or truth in billing for what the bills are, because people go in, they have a procedure, they're expecting a $2,000 bill, and they get a $20,000 bill for a procedure, and they can't fight it. There's nothing they can do. If you don't do anything about it, then they're coming after you for the money either way. They send you to collections, your credit's bad. You're not alone. If you buy the same plan for us for 8 to 12% less than you would on ACA, we'll take on that fight for you if they give you the wrong bill. 80% of the time of people that came to us for a bill adjustment, we get a lower bill from them. We provide telemental and telehealth. So you're out hiking, you get poison ivy, you decide you want to get checked. Right now you'd go to the ER. The ER is expensive and a money loser for the hospital. Sure. It's a money loser for the carrier. It's a money loser for the broker. And it usually costs you some $50 or something out of pocket to go. Instead, we provide telehealth, which enables you to take a picture of it, call a doctor. He calls CVS, says, hey, they're coming by to get a prescription because they got poison ivy, and you're done and you have no cost. You have no cost. The broker has no cost. The carrier has no cost, right? That's better for everybody. And we hope is as these things happen, these wellness concepts, we help lower the cost of healthcare for everyone.
So you've got the relationship, the knowledge, and ease of use. I mean, I'm just pulling that out.
Ease of use is not good enough.
Not good enough, yeah.
It's way better than anything else out there, but it's not good enough. The industry is very hard. You go to, I'm going to throw Blue Cross Blue Shield on the bus. I apologize, Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're a great company in a lot of ways, but their cohesiveness across states is terrible.
Okay, across states, yeah.
So if we want to try to enroll you and we have to connect technology-wise, we go to UHC, we're connecting kind of once with a little bit of add-ons for each state. You go Blue Cross Blue Shield, it is a total different carrier for every state. So there are 13 to 30 carriers in every state, and even if it's Blue Cross to Blue Cross, it is a totally new carrier, totally new technology integration. So we're really good from the front end and working with the consumer and the company to help them sign up, and the broker and the carrier to get reports. But that back end, last mile, I call it, from us to the carrier continues to be a challenge. We have carriers that won't accept an electronic transmission. We have to print out your sign up and fax it to them. Get a fax receipt and then re-enter that into the computer, because the carrier isn't capable of taking anything but a fax.
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, I think things like that become like a barrier to entry for your potential competition, because you're dealing with it now, but at the same time, you're probably pushing them to help solve that problem.
We have been struggling as a company. We've raised a little bit of money. We've kind of been hand to mouth a little bit, if you will. Bootstrap some at first. Myself and the other couple top executives of the company haven't taken a salary in 2 years to try to help make the company be successful. A lot of people misinterpret entrepreneur, and they believe that it's you go out to start a company, you get somebody else's money, and you put it at risk to start your company.
Right.
Right.
You start with your own.
Yeah, you start with your own time, energy, and your own money. That's the reality of it. Yeah. If you don't believe in enough, not to invest enough of your time and energy, you're not going to convince someone else to give you their money.
Yeah.
Right. If your money is not at risk, their money is not going to be at risk. That's just it's one of the fastest ways that investors use to eliminate you from risk. So we've done a lot of that stuff, but Gusto recently raised $200 million to come into our market. We're primarily serving companies 50 and less. We spent about $3 million, $3.3 million to build what we have. Gusto raised $200 million to build the same thing, $90 million that they plan to spend on the technology to build alone. So that we truly have our first true competitor in our marketplace. They're a $200 million raised, $90 million behemoth coming after us.
Yeah.
So that'll be a challenge, and we'll have to see how that goes. But it also validated what we're doing.
Yes, so that ironically will help you probably raise capital.
Which is why we got the offer that we got right afterwards.
That's right.
Gusto did their announcement.
And there's that wonderful acronym, FOLO, right? Fear of losing out.
Yep, FOMO or FOLO, depending upon your preference.
Yeah, right. And so I hope you have that going for you. I want to make sure our smart people in the audience get a chance to ask you some questions. I'm sure we have some. Mark?
We have a lot of smart people. I don't know if we have any questions.
Well, I'm sure
we have at least 4 smart people. I'll give you that.
Right. Okay, Mark, what's your question?
Hey, Mark.
You are offering personal health insurance. Is that accurate?
We are offering healthcare coverage, which is inclusive of health insurance.
For individuals?
It always boils down to an individual or a family, yes.
Okay. Not commercial insurance or anything like that that would be applicable to business, property casualty, let's say?
We focus on health insurance at this point, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say there is an employee in another state who leaves his company and traditionally COBRA is offered.
Which is very expensive if you understand how it's constructed, yes.
Yes.
Some of our initial people that we've gotten on board have come on board because they looked at what their COBRA plan would be and what it would cost, and we would be like $200 less per month for them, getting the same plan from us than they would through their COBRA.
So that is traditionally the transition for that employee. They are able to utilize your marketplace because you are based in Georgia and can sell insurance.
Well, we're licensed in all 50 states, and we're appointed by most of all the carriers across the country. So appointment means that the carrier said we can resell the product for them, even though we're not the broker of record, but we need that in order to be able to enable the brokers to use our software. The software has to be licensed and appointed also, not just the broker. So yeah, we have people across, I don't know, maybe 20.
Just for the provider to connect to the individual to provide coverage for
So
them.
we're the healthcare companion. So that's our goal, is we want to be the healthcare companion of every American. So we want to be able to be looking for your insurance when you purchase it, and then when you actually go to use it, or even if you're not using it, you're just doing wellness programs, we want to be there. One of the things we do is telecounseling. We package that in at no additional cost, right? So we're still 8 to 12% less than the ACA, but you get telecounseling. I believe taking care of your mental health makes your physical health better off. And I also think if you're proactive on your mental health, it'll reduce your costs in the future. So we package that in. So I leave here, I feel like she was really rough with the questions, I'm a little stressed. I can call up and say, hey, it was stressful, talk to someone, they can help me with that, and then they can also help teach me some coping mechanisms so I can deal with that stress in the future. We provide that as part of what we do. That's why I say healthcare coverage versus just health insurance. We try to be more than just a health insurance.
So if I'm an individual and I've obtained coverage through your marketplace, if I have a claim, that goes directly to the carrier?
Yep, it's still processed just like any other time. But if you run into a problem with that claim, we'll be there to help you.
I saw another couple hands up. Yes, ma'am. Mark.
So you answered the telecounseling. I guess how is that going as far as the telepart versus the other in the brick and mortar? Is it growing? Is it?
So the industry standard is about 2 to 3% utilization. Our utilization is about 18%. I truly believe that it could be much higher.
Excuse me, this was a question, I'm not sure if.
Oh yeah, I don't know if
picked
you
up
can
here.
hear the question. Yeah, you want to
well, the trade-off between,
mental health and telehealth.
right, versus brick and mortar or inpatient in a sense, yeah.
You say you package it.
We provide healthcare coverage, yeah.
So if I have a policy, do I know I have telehealth and telehealth?
Some places do have it, not just us, but other places have it. Most often it's at a cost of like $25 per use.
Okay.
Sometimes there are places that have it and it's more of an expense. Sometimes it's less, and sometimes it may cover a little bit more or less. But the basic gist is, with us, you could use it every day for free.
Okay.
But the telehealth versus the brick and mortar, I think you put it, or traditional checking, the usage generally runs in the industry only about 2 or 3%. One of the reasons why the carriers like us is we're running at 18%. And we believe that as we get bigger and we can put some money into the process to let people know about it and how to use it better and things like that, and produce some content on the internet and different things and market it, we believe we can triple that usage percentage.
That's significant.
This is the second part of my question was, if I'm just a sole entrepreneur, like I'm not connected with a group, how does this individual Marshall get into something, a pool? If I'm coming from my employer, which is a corporate company with my Blue Cross Blue Shield,
Sure.
I'm leaving to go full-time entrepreneur. How do I transition from having a Blue Cross Blue Shield card versus getting to this?
Well, you still can have a Blue Cross Blue Shield card. We sell Blue Cross Blue Shield every day, right? It's not, but there'll be a different broker of record. One of the brokers we have is what we would refer you to, and then you would go through and use our software,
Okay.
but it would be based on that broker.
The question was, if I'm in big company and now I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I may have an LLC, but I'm the only person in it full-time, how do I transition my insurance, or do I keep the same payer or not?
I would look at it always. I think you should always look before you leap, right? We don't directly sell. It would be a broker using our software to sell to you. And I would say that most likely you could get the plan or a comparable plan or a better plan for less money. Maybe not less money compared to what your company paid and you paid together, right? If your company was subsidizing part of it, it may be more money than you used to pay, but less money than what the total cost was. And yeah, it's not, compared to the rest of the process in the world, it's easier. Compared to what I want it to be, it's not good enough yet.
Yes, sir.
So does the end user, the person getting that insurance, do they see your marketplace, or is it all handled back in through the broker?
So the question was about whether they see our marketplace or whether it was handled through the back end of the broker. And our marketplace, you can log in and see it today, how we have it branded for us. And then we also have various different brokers that we've licensed to use our software, and it's branded as them.
So you white label it to them?
Yep.
Cool.
That's our goal. We're like the Intel inside of your computer, right? We want to power everybody else to be able to sell it and go out, and then we want to enable everybody to have access. If you're in certain zip codes in Ohio or Arizona, you can have 0 individual plans available. You might have 1 individual plan available. If you're coming through our software, you could have 90,000 plans available in the same space.
And when you say 90,000 plans, is that maybe 10 different companies and iterations of plans? How do you get
Yes,
up?
it's a combination of,
Right. Okay.
of companies and plans. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. One is about the telehealth people.
Sure.
Are they working for you?
No. No. So we are the marketplace where everybody
The
comes
question
together.
is, are the telehealth counselors
Yes.
working for Candor?
Yeah. So Candor is a mechanism to bring all those parties together in a more optimal way. So we don't employ any doctors. We don't employ any counselors. We do not originate any health insurance. We don't originate any groups. But we work with groups such as Jewelers of America. And then if you come in and you answer questions and you say you own a jewelry store, it'll say Jewelers of America has a group insurance plan. Would you like to join that association so that you have access to a group plan? So we don't employ the telecounselors. We turn around and we partner with different companies throughout the country to be able to provide that service to you, and then we pay for that service so that you have it.
Those telecounselors are affiliated with the insurance companies, or are they their own company that you have your own relationship with?
They are a separate company that we have a relationship with in addition to the carriers.
Okay.
Most of the carriers provide a very limited, very restrictive and low compensating piece when it comes to mental health. We felt that it was insufficient, and so we actively looked to augment that.
So then it was the Jewelers Association who decided to include that in their offering
To their members,
to their members.
right? We don't
Right,
originate
that's
the carriers.
the
We don't
chain.
originate the groups.
Right.
We're not the broker. We're the way that all those things come together, similar to the way that eBay provides a store where someone may come in and sell things. We make sure that what's being provided is on the up and up and everything, and we make sure it's secure, but we don't originate the products.
And then my second question is what are your revenue models? What are your revenue streams?
Our primary revenue comes from the broker.
Okay.
We charge on a per member per month basis back to the broker. Brokers in general right now make about $13 to $26 per plan that they sell.
Okay.
Most of our carriers are paying $40 per member per month if you come through our system versus selling direct. So if a broker goes from what they sell today, they can go from usually $13.96 for a bronze plan in California, for instance, to $40 for the same plan if they sell it through us. Why? Because the carriers, it's a much more efficient way for them to manage. And because of the wellness and some of the other things that we do, we have a better commission plan than most could get. So the brokers can make more money, but then they pay us on a per member per month basis of $10 per member per month that they enroll. So they net about $30 per member per month. Whereas right now, most brokers, there's a couple different studies. McKinsey has probably the best one. It averages that on a small group, brokers spend not on the sale, but on the subsequent support of like billing and advocacy and that stuff. They spend about $41 per member per month on support for people. So they generally lose about $1 per member per month on their business today. Now, many of them still do it because they want to sell you the P&C, they want to sell you the E&O, they want to sell you the other types of insurance that they sell
Okay. So
But-
they're losing money on health insurance.
to make it elsewhere. And a lot of them just aren't even offering it anymore, doing it anymore because it's just too much of a loss for them. We come in and we say, we'll get you higher commissions and we'll fix the cost for support. You don't need to worry about support anymore, we'll take care of that. And so now we have one customer, they were losing $1 per member per month, they have 100,000 clients. So they're losing $1.2 million per year. I'm rounding numbers. We turned around, we converted them to the new model. they're making $30 per member per month on 100,000. So they're making $3 million per month and $36 million per year, where they used to lose 1.2. And that's what we've been able to do for that broker. Now that broker does what? They want to help with health insurance for everybody. So now more people have access. More of the people have access. More people are healthier in the pool. That lowers the prices for everybody in the future.
How do you sell? How do you sell to the brokers? How do you
I
get
don't
them
really
on board?
I don't have a sales team or anything yet.
Or how do you reach? I mean, I'm using the word, the verb.
I presented to 2 brokers and they both signed up.
Okay,
That's it.
but you need more than 2 brokers.
I got 100,000 from one and 25,000 from other, than 125,000 people. When Esurance, Progressive,
Right.
or Zenefits crossed 10,000 people on their policy, they'd had over $1 billion valuation. We've got contracts for over 100,000.
Okay.
It's just a matter of us being able to digest them and convert them to our system.
Now, and when you say broker, you mean a broker organization?
An agency.
Yeah, it's an agency, right?
Yeah, it's a someone who resells insurance on a large scale.
Right, and so you must want to expand, though.
Actually, my biggest problem right now is making sure that we don't expand too much and collapse.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the thing that's gonna kill us. If I gotta manage the growth, how do we bite off chunks that are acceptable?
Okay.
We have a contract that within 6 months we have to start digesting 1,500 people per month from our biggest client, and we need to be able to do that well and successfully.
What are the challenges in scaling? Because a lot of times you see that. I mean, obviously there's an incremental cost. It sounds like. What are your other challenges in scaling?
The first thing is always cash flow.
This is scaling challenges. Okay.
Right, yeah, scaling challenges always result first in cash flow, right? How do you have enough cash to cover bringing in people, training them, setting them up, getting things set up, paying your electric bill? Because even if they pay you the next month, it's 30, 90 days usually in payment terms from them before you get the money. So you've got that time period. And if you try to go to like a situation where you can sell your invoices and that kind of thing, you're still going to pay like 16%, which for most businesses would kill the business. So the challenge of cash flow is a big deal for us, and that's our biggest #1 challenge right now. The next thing after that is maintaining culture. The culture in our company, when we first started out and we're going like 5 people for the first like year or so, it was very strong. When we've gone from 5 to 25, we have some culture issues right now. We have some people that are very good, but they don't fit in culturally, and they're not going to make it. And that's hard. It's hard for us, it's hard for them. But making it go on when it's a bad relationship, that's bad.
Okay, so I think in our remaining maybe 1 or 2 minutes, the people in your company are very important. So this is your recruiting ad now, or tell us what it's like to work in your company, and this culture that you said is very engaging. So that might attract some people who watch this as a podcast later on.
So the first and most important thing is you're going down a trail that is not a worn trail. It's the path not taken. And most people think they would love that until they experience it. And they have a very hard time with the stress of taking the path not taken. Everybody thinks, oh, startup, I can make tons of money, it'll be so exciting. And the anxiety of it and the stress of it makes them collapse almost instantly or soon after. That's the first thing. If you can't handle that, if you can't handle the nerves and things about that, that's the first thing. If you like a lot of construct and you like to know exactly what you're going to do when you go into work that day, and it's going to be similar to what you did yesterday, you do not want to be at my company.
So what is the fun side then? So why should I do it? So let's say I'm a risk taker. Okay,
we are changing. There is a huge upside potentially on the equity. We have a lot of fun. We learn a lot of stuff. We make a ton of mistakes and we learn from it fast and we fix them. And we are in an environment that mistakes are acceptable. But you got to recover from them and learn from them quickly. The first answer, and this is I stole from an old AT&T CEO, the first answer is the best answer fast. The next best answer is the wrong answer fast. And the worst answer is the wrong answer slow. right? And that's the reality. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to get things wrong. But if you learn from it, correct it, and don't make the same mistake, we're okay with it. But you got to learn from it fast and do it fast. And we talk to each other all the time. There's interaction with each other and learning from each other and working together. If you're the custodian working on emptying the trash, or you're the CEO, it doesn't matter in my company. Everybody's opinion, everybody's input matters. And so in our company, if we succeed or fail, it's because of everybody in that company makes us succeed or fail. There isn't a single person that isn't going to contribute to the success of our company. So if you want to go in a place that is exciting, fast-moving, a lot of communication, challenging, and you want to do something that matters, I call it the triple bottom line. You got to have a passion for it, and if you have a passion for it, you can do it. You got to believe that you're making something better in society for a lot of people, and you got to be able to make good money at it. If you can get that triple bottom line, and that matters to you, then you belong with us.
So Bob Shinn, CandorUSA.com. Did I get that right?
Actually, it's Candor.insurance.
Candor.insurance.
The company is Candor USA.
Okay.
And the reason why we went through the process with the .insurance versus the .com is to make sure that it's way more secure than anybody else can be in the country. The .insurance extension domains, you have to be audited, you have to be checked, and if you're ever spoofed or any type of breakdown, you can't keep that domain. So if people buy through our domain, they know it's real. If they buy through a .com domain, it could be someone in another country trying to fool you. And
So,
that will grow as we go. The security piece will matter more and more.
See how a very, very smart entrepreneur here. Bob Shinn, Candor.insurance. Check them out. You probably list your job openings there too. And then, of course, if you want to become a customer as a broker.
Preferably, but we'll refer you to a broker if you need.
Right. Here we go. Well, thank you all. Thank you, audience. Let's have
Thank
a
you.
round of applause.